Today we are starting a new chapter, that is chemical bonding. Okay, we have already studied that elements, atoms of different elements, they need to achieve stability. And what is stability? Having either 2 electrons in their outermost shell or having 8 electrons in their outermost shell. Atoms of some elements, they get stable by having 2 electrons in their outermost shell, and atoms of some other elements, most of the atoms or elements, they need to have 8 electrons in their outermost shell to get stable. So how do we define stability? Stability is having a complete outermost shell. Stability क्या होता है? Having a complete outermost shell. Atoms can achieve stability in 2 ways. Some atoms, they get stable with having 2 electrons in their outermost shell. We say they follow a duplet rule. Duplet rule is having two electrons in outermost shell, or outermost shell is also known as valence shell. Duplet rule is followed by only few elements, which includes hydrogen. Hydrogen gets stable by having 2 electrons in its outermost shell. Helium is already stable. It is a noble gas. It already have 2 electrons in its outermost shell and it feels stable. Then we have lithium that gets stable with 2 electrons in its outermost shell. And then beryllium. And in some compound, it's boron, जो कि 2 electrons के साथ खुश है. outermost shell में अगर 2 electrons हो जाएं तो वो कहता है I am stable, right? Rest of the other elements of the periodic table, they get stable by having 8 electrons in their outermost shell. So they follow which rule? Octet rule. Octet is 8. 8 को कहते हैं. All other elements of the periodic table, apart from hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, and boron, they get stable by having 8 electrons in their outermost shell. Right? Okay. आगे कर दूं? Done writing? Guys, आगे बढ़े. जी.
क्या कोई ऐसा सवाल आ सकता है कि मतलब डुप्लेट रूल क्या होता है, आउटर रूल, या फिर ये मतलब ये डेफिनेशन हमारे सिलेबस में है?
No, he won't ask you the definition of duplet rule or octet rule. Don't worry about it. It's just for your understanding. Yep.
जी सर.
Okay. So in order to achieve stability, atom of any element can do 3 things. What are these 3 things? See, we need to make the basis of this chapter, na, कि हम why we are studying chemical bonding actually. So when atom of any element, it wants to get stable, it actually loses electrons or gains electron or shares electron. In this process, atoms of different elements, they are chemically combined together, and there are different ways of chemical combination. So that's why we have to study different types of chemical bonding. तो जो basic है chemical bonding होने का जो reason है वो क्या है? To achieve stability. ठीक है, and how atoms achieve stability or one either by losing electrons, and when any atom loses electrons, it gets a positive charge or it forms cations. Remember, atomic structure may be studied group 1 element, group 2 elements, group 3 elements, all metal they lose electron to get stable and they form cations, positively charged ions. Similarly, atom also achieve stability by gaining electrons. Like all non-metallic elements, atoms of non-metallic elements, they gain electrons. और उन पे चार्ज क्या आ जाता है, फिर नेगेटिवली चार्ज हो जाते हैं ना, वो एनाइन बना लेते हैं. So they form anion. There is another method by which some non-metals can achieve stability is by sharing electrons. Atoms of different elements or even same elements, they can share their electrons with each other to achieve stability. Okay, and during sharing of electrons, they form a certain type of bond which is known as covalent bond. ठीक है, तो ये एक एक करके पढ़ेंगे सारा. ठीक है, और जब ये इलेक्ट्रॉन लूज या गेन या शेयरिंग करते हैं ना, तो होता क्या है कि दे हैव टू फॉर्म अ केमिकल बॉन्ड विद ईच अदर. So how atom achieve stability? By doing all these three things. And during achieving stability, they have to form chemical bonds with each other. Hence the name of the chapter, chemical bonding. So if they ask you why, actually they won't ask you, just for your understanding, why atoms of different or same elements form a chemical bond. It is to achieve stability. Right? And how atoms forms chemical bond? There are three types of chemical bonding. तो वो भी हम पढ़ेंगे, टाइप्स ऑफ केमिकल bonding. There are three types of chemical bonding: ionic bonding, second one is covalent bonding, the third one is metallic bonding. Right? So we have to study all these three types of bonding. Okay, so far so good. Anything you need to ask? आगे बढ़े.
Yes, sir.
Sir, what does it mean by atoms of different or same elements?
आवाज आ रही है सबको?
जी सर।
क्या हुआ था?
सर पता नहीं, आपका लोगो नजर आ रहा था और कोई आवाज ही नहीं आ रही थी।
कहाँ तक लिखा आप लोगों ने?
सर
टाइप्स ऑफ
तीनों टाइप की
केमिकल।
बॉन्डिंग बताई थी आपने।
ओके। अच्छा, फिर आगे we were talking that we have to start ionic bonding. And before starting ionic bonding, we have to discuss few things. That we know that charges are of two types: positive charge and a negative charge. And there is one law of charges that you will study in detail in physics. But this law states that two like charges can be same charges. Like means same. So two positive charges will always repel each other. They will exert a force of repulsion on each other. It means they will move away from each other. And two negative charges, they will also repel each other. क्योंकि दोनों like charges है ना, same charges है. Like means same charge. And the second statement of this law is two unlike charges. Unlike means opposite charges. Two unlike charges, they always attract each other. Like if we have one positive charge and one negative charge, so they will always exert a force of attraction on each other. And this particular force of attraction has a particular name which is known as electrostatic force of attraction. Right? सही है? क्या नाम है इसका? इलेक्ट्रोस्टैटिक फोर्स ऑफ अट्रैक्शन. स्टैटिक मींस चार्जेस एट रेस्ट. इलेक्ट्रो मींस रिलेटेड टू इलेक्ट्रिसिटी. ये नाम आप फिजिक्स में भी पढ़ोगे बाद में ना, आगे इलेक्ट्रिसिटी में. But for now, you just have to remember that the force of attraction between two unlike charges is known as electrostatic force of attraction. Right? Okay. So now what happens in ionic bonding?
सर एक से रिपीट कर सकते हैं?
जी जी sure.
Wait. मैंने बॉन्डिंग है तो पढ़ लिया था। Disposable.
Ramin, you asking something?
Okay sir, I'm done.
Okay. So ionic bonding always takes place between elements from group 1. If any element from group 1, group 2, or transition element, or group 3. And there are two elements from group 4 which are considered to be metals, which is tin and lead. Right? We must have discussed about it. There are two metals in group 4 as well, tin and lead. If any element from group 1 to transition element group 3 or group 4, all these elements are considered to be metals, right? These all are metals. If any metal or any metallic element makes a bond with any non-metal from group 5, group 6, group 7, then such a bond formed between these elements is known as ion bond. Okay? Or in short, when a metal makes a bond with a non-metal, such a bond is known as ionic bond. Okay, so they form ionic bond. अब बनता कैसे ionic bond? Let's say if we have sodium, which is a metal from group 1, and chlorine, which is a non-metal from group 7. Electronic configuration for sodium is 2,8,1. In order to get stable, sodium loses one electron to form the electronic configuration of 2,8, whereas chlorine has an atomic number of 17. Its electronic configuration is 2,8,7. Chlorine has 7 valence electrons. It needs one more electron to get stable, right? ऐसा ही है ना? Because it already has 7 valence electrons. It need one more electron to complete its octet. वो electron जो sodium lose कर रहा है, it will be gained by a chlorine atom to form a chloride ion. Chlorine atom will gain this electron and it will form a chloride ion. Right? So sodium atom forms sodium ion which is positively charged, and chlorine atom will gain the electron lost by sodium to form a chloride ion which is negatively charged. As both forms oppositely charged ions, these two ions will be attracted to each other, and this force of attraction is known as force of attraction between two unlike charges. We just discussed it in the previous slide. Force of attraction between two unlike charges is known as electrostatic force of attraction.
Sir,
And when they, जी बच्चे,
sir, is it important that like ionic bonds they are only formed between metals and non-metals?
it is not, cannot say it is important. It is only possible between metals and non-metals. It will only happen between those elements or among which one of the element have to lose electrons and the atom of the other element have to gain electrons. So one can form a positively charged ion, the other can form a negatively charged ion. So formation of oppositely charged ion is important. Otherwise, ionic bonding cannot take place. The word ionic bonding has ion into it. It means we have to form ions first.
Okay,
And
sir,
oppositely
thank you.
charged ions are required for ionic bonding. So when sodium atom loses electron, it forms a positively charged ion, and when chlorine atom gains that electron, it forms a negatively charged ion. Sodium ion is a positively charged ion, chloride ion is a negatively charged ion. Both are oppositely charged ions, so they will attract each other. And the force of attraction would be called as electrostatic force of attraction, and they will stick together. ठीक है? और stick together को chemistry में हम कहते हैं chemical bond. When atoms of different elements or same elements, when they stick together somehow, then that formation we call it as a chemical bond. Okay? And when oppositely charged ions they are attracted to each other, then the bond formed between these ions is known as ionic bond. तो सोडियम आयन और क्लोराइड आयन के बीच में जो बॉन्ड बना है, दिस बॉन्ड इज नोन एज ionic bond. So what happens in ionic bonding? Actually, one atom loses electron, the other atom gains an electron. So there is actually a transfer of electron. ट्रांसफर ही कहेंगे ना इसको. सोडियम एटम का इलेक्ट्रॉन निकल के क्लोरीन में चला गया. There is actually a transfer of electrons and formation of a positive ion and a negative ion. Transfer of electrons, एक तो ट्रांसफर हुआ इलेक्ट्रॉन्स का, and formation of a positive ion and negatively ion. So we can say a formation of oppositely charged ions which are attracted to each other by which force of attraction? Electrostatic force of attraction. ये डेफिनेशन बन जाएगी आयनिक बॉन्डिंग की.
सर इसके लिए हमें इलेक्ट्रिक कॉन्फ़िगरेशन याद करनी पड़ेगी ना?
नहीं, you should know how to make the electronic configuration. There is no need to learn electronic configuration ना.
सर लेकिन टाइम हमारा
बना लेते हैं ना खुद ही, याद नहीं करनी है. नहीं, बनाने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. अभी तो हमने स्टार्ट किया है ना. When we have to make an ionic bond, तो never need to make an ionic electronic configuration.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
सही है, यही पूछो, कुछ और पूछना चाह रहे हो?
सर यही पूछ रहे थे.
अभी जो स्टार्ट हुआ है ना, it will take time. Obviously we will discuss the questions with it, तो समझ आ जाएगा कि क्या बनाना है, क्या याद करना है, क्या नहीं करना पड़ेगा. जी बच्चे.
sir,
हिबा,
is it important that we have to do it in the same way? Can you draw diagram?
it depends on the question. If the question is asking you to draw a dot and cross
So-
diagram for ionic bonding, then of course it is important.
For example, if it's not mentioned, so then it's our chance, right?
If it is not mentioned, then it's up to you. But usually it is always mentioned. वो कुछ और question होता है फिर. It is usually mentioned.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.